Hey there, Highline. I am going to attempt to show you guys how to use Schoology completion folders to make a flipped classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and show you, I guess we'll just go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go to my Schoology homepage and I'm going to go to courses and I'm going to do the Highline practice course. And that's just because it's summertime and I don't have a course to work in right now. And I've already created it as a practice run through, but I'm going to show you how I created each piece. But I'll start with the finished product. Here you go. You have my lesson here, Flipped Classroom Informational Reading from Storyworks. So this is a lesson that I would present to the students. So they would click in here and they would have this vocabulary section. This is an assignment. This little icon means an assignment. This is a page where they read the Swarms of Terror. Here is a discussion, and the Swarms of Terror told from a different perspective would be another assignment, and at the end is a discussion for reflections on the lesson for both myself and the student. So I'll go ahead and get started. When I did this, I started with a page for the vocabulary. Storyworks gives great vocabulary background. So I'm going to show you how to do this. And we're just going to go back into the courses. And then I'm going to create it in second grade. So I'll go into second grade, add materials, add folder, and flipped classroom Storyworks. Oh, all right. And I'm going to let's make it green and then create. Now click inside there and I'm going to start with adding a page. So the nice thing about a page besides doing just a link is that you can give some directions. So in the Swarms of Terror vocabulary, we would need to go to Storyworks. And not everybody has a Storyworks subscription. The teachers do, so I'm going to sign in as a teacher. I'm going to get the links that I need. Your Storyworks, I go to past issues and I teach my kids this, but you hit Control F for find. Up here you'll see, and I'm going to look up the article Swarms of Terror and it shows up right here. This is a great tool, the Control F for students, because anytime they're looking for keywords on any content on the internet, it really helps find those keywords for them. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And I really want my students to start with the vocabulary slideshow. So I click on the website, highlight it, copy it, go into my page that I created, paste it, and I'm just going to call it Vocabulary Slideshow. And here I'm just going to type in some directions. Please watch the Vocabulary Slideshow. If you need to log in as a student and put the password as growth. That's because fourth grade has a subscription. And then I come down and hit create. Now prior, you're going to want to show the kids Storyworks and have them go through Storyworks quite a bit, so it's not a brand new thing for them. So as you can see, there is that material. Now we're going to add an assignment. See right here, add assignment. Vocabulary sentences. Vocabulary sentences, and then you'll give the directions. Please use 3 words in sentences, and blah, 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 blah. So basically my directions were that they needed to use the words in sentences and then submit it. And I gave it a total of 10 points, and you can choose what category it goes to, like if it goes to vocabulary, which happens to be one of our standards on our report cards. Right now I'm going to just do ungraded for this, and then we're going to hit create. Now once you have 2 items in your folder, you can add student completion. So requirements must be met in sequential order. I'm going to put a yes. Now, if you don't do that, that means the kids can go around in any order they want. And that sometimes works. In this case, I want them to go in sequential order. And then you go down to add requirement. So for the vocabulary one, they just need to view the item because it's just a video. And for the next part, this is how you know that they're actually internalizing the item. The vocabulary sentences, they must make a submission. And see, if you look here, they can also have a score at least. So that means they can't move on until you grade it. I just say that they need to make a submission because quite honestly, I don't get around to grading everything on time. And then you save your changes. So now you have this progression, and then you can look at your student progress through here. Now I've checked in as a student named Angel, and it is always good in Schoology to try and have a student's login already prepared so that you can easily check back and forth access. Sometimes you may post a video, and because of our district's filters, the students may not be able to view the filter and they'll view the video. So the only way to know is to log in as a student. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the completed class as a student. So I'm going to go ahead and log out. I have to log out of my Cherry Creek as well. And you can see here, I have a student's login already prepared and already saved. So it's very easy to go back and forth. And I had to add to this student, I had to add the Highline practice course so that he would have access to it. And as you can see, there's his name. Here's the practice course. So here's the course that I completed earlier that you had seen. And so it has everything coming down. So the vocabulary, he would click here and it would take him to the vocabulary slideshow. Excuse me, I gotta, yes, okay. And then he can go through the vocabulary slideshow, and it's very great. It tells him
the first people to accomplish something new.
Okay, so lots of great differentiation ability when you do a flipped classroom because they're at home. They don't have maybe somebody who will read to them or somebody who reads English. So I'm just gonna show you if he did this. I'm gonna go back to that vocabulary. And it says student progress. So he's in progress of that. Now, he can go on to the next one, but he can't move on to the next one. See how it's faded out? Because he hasn't submitted an assignment, right? So I'll go ahead and show you the one that we just made only has 2 assignments in it. But again, since he's here, it doesn't mean that he's viewed the slideshow, he's just viewed this. So he can't get away with not viewing it all. However, he can't do the next part really unless he knows all the words. So, and there you go. That is my example of doing a flipped classroom. Oh, I guess maybe I'll show you the rest of this great folder I created for 4th grade. So another thing I did is they had to then read the Swarms of Terror article, and we're going to leave Angel, this student. We're going to leave this. Go back and log in as myself. I don't have my new password saved, so I have to type it in. So if you go into here, when the students click here, it'll take them to a link and they have to put in the growth, the password, which is growth. And I don't know why I put that there. And then we'll go back. So that's where they can read it. Now in Storyworks, it can be read to them, and you want to teach them in Storyworks to make sure to have two windows open, because when it reads it to them, it doesn't actually show the text. So they have to have two windows open at the same time. And that's something you're going to want to teach ahead of time. And then, so these author craft questions came from the focus of this article from the Storyworks people was author's craft, but there's also something called the depth and complexity questions, which I used to help me write some of my questions and to create my last assignment. So this first discussion one, the author used a lot of descriptive details to make this informational text interesting. She told it like a story. What are some of the sensory details? So you can go into this and see the students' comments, and you can actually set this one. So here we are in student completion. I'm going to add a requirement to this one. So let's go into the author's craft. The members must post a comment and a reply. And then you save changes on that. And then for this one, this is from Now We Are Going to Think with Our Perspective Glasses from the depth and complexity icon. So you would, want to make sure that you've taught these icons, but what other perspectives are there? And then the students then use their elaboration narrative writing details in retelling the story in an informational text. It's really quite cross-curricular. And again, to make this as a completion that must be done, we'll go back to student completion, add a requirement. Oops, I forgot to save the changes of this one. Members must post a reply, add a requirement for retold. Members post. And then you save changes. And there you go. All of this can be done at home, but a lot of this, the videos and the text can be read at home. You can even add to, when they're writing the text, you can add, maybe you show a video and then the next part is to write 6 questions you had about the video to bring to school the next day. There's so much that you can do with flipped classrooms when you have Schoology and completion folders, and we're very lucky to have those here. Thanks for listening.